This is what I'm gonna call the inevitable shitstorm pre-damage control disclaimer. I like TF2, I like Overwatch, I like Matpat, I don't like his recent video on TF2 versus Overwatch, and many of the points in his video were just complete and utter bull semen. Also, don't make any disparaging comments, but unbiased discussion and the odd debate is welcome.
Not a lot of games have taken off as quickly as Blizzard's new juggernaut, Overwatch. Class-based team shooters, Overwatch.
Oh, it's gonna be one of those videos, isn't it?
Well, it's only polite to respect our elders, so Team Fortress 2, you go first.
Oh wow, so gracious. Free. Team Fortress 2 is a free game.
Yeah, tell that to this guy.
Boom! Done. Shut it down. It's over.
But wait! There's more!
Consider that Overwatch has microtransactions.
Oh, what, really? And TF2 doesn't? Look, the only microtransaction you can get is just buying over expensive loot boxes, which you can get anyway by just playing the damn game. And let's be real here, the only reason there is even an option to buy them is so YouTubers can open 100 of them the moment an update comes out. And then you have to consider that the stuff you get out of the loot boxes has no monetary value. You can't trade or sell them, so why would you?
And people say that Candy Crush is a bad time.
Candy Crush is shit and you know it. Comparing Candy Crush to Overwatch is kind of a cardinal sin here.
Okay, sure. Overwatch is being sold as a complete game at full price, but that's because it is.
I'm gonna say something that both of them has not said in the entire video, and that's, in my opinion, it is not a full game. No full game has 13 maps in it. The Overwatch experience for me ended prematurely because of lack of maps.
In Overwatch, the microtransactions give you a chance to maybe get what you want.
Or, and I promise you this is a mechanic in Overwatch, you can buy your damn skins. I mean, sure, you'll need to open a few crates first, but there is a mechanic to actually get specific skins.
That's a chance to get that skin.
Please, go to an acting class!
If you want to play as a scout, wearing a Dovahkiin helmet, wielding a giant fish as a weapon, you can.
You can't. The fish isn't big, and the Dove hacking helmet is not an all-class.
TF2 allows complete control over your character's...
That's loadout. Why are you showing a loadout image?
It would appear as though I am on fire.
It would appear as though my cringe bone is broken.
One element where Overwatch loses out to TF2, and that is aesthetics.
2 to the 1, to the 1 to the 3. I like good pussy and I like good tree.
But Overwatch wins where it truly matters, and that is gameplay.
In your opinion, that is a purely subjective statement right there.
The game has stood the test of time.
Stood? Sure, but is now getting replaced.
Replaced? Okay, this is going from purely subjective into the realm of destructively opinionated.
TF2 player numbers have been on the decline since October of 2014, according to Steam Charts data, and numbers since Overwatch's release in May have reached an all-time low.
Fun fact, Overwatch's release seems to have boosted player numbers. The only explanation being that Blizzard fans are exposed to the controversial granddaddy of the genre and the class-based shooter genre, and while player numbers have been on the slight decline over a much longer period than Overwatch's release, I don't think it can constitute as Overwatch killing TF2, or even TF2 killing TF2.
Overwatch is a true team-based shooter. The end goal is always completing your objective. Team Fortress is also objective-based, but features things like kill-death ratios and rewards for dominating the enemy.
Kill-death ratios are only inside of competitive, and there are no rewards for dominating. Only a little medal on the score screen. And that isn't exactly a reward.
Stats and achievements that are directly tied to killing the opponent repeatedly.
When I see statistics, I want to see that I have killed people repeatedly. That's the point of statistics, to an extent. And what would achievements be without achievements being tied to killing people?
This makes it much less appealing to play as, say, a healer or other support character, since they're not as likely to get impressive numbers in those areas.
As a quote-unquote medic main, I find it very satisfying seeing my healing done being very high, but that's just me.
Overwatch does Team Fortress better than Team Fortress.
I think what you meant to say was Overwatch does team in Team Fortress better than Team Fortress, but I'm sure that's too confusing for the kids watching your show.
Yeah, I would hope so, considering it's the same game nearly a decade later.
I am not going to go on a 10-minute rant about why you're wrong, but you are wrong about that.
Only with fewer maps, of course. TF2 has 100.
Including the community maps. But are you not going to mention those? No? Okay. fine.
How many does Overwatch have again?
12, but...
But what?
He's just saying but to sound nervous. You all know it.
You can call me Torbjorn, cause I'm just standing here, and I just got play the game.
Sick roast? I'm too confused to be cringing right now.
Quality over quantity. Whereas you brag about having 100 maps, most of which are from the community, mind you, which is not a bad thing, but Overwatch's characters are just more mobile. They can roll,
You forgot to mention that rolling is actually a reloading mechanic, and movement is actually a small part of it.
fly,
In Before 23rd Hero actually identifies as an attack helicopter.
teleport,
TF2 can do that.
use grappling hooks.
TF2 can do that.
There's no need for convoluted rocket jumping in Overwatch.
Yeah, who needs a practice skill to have an advantage over other players?
Blizzard is actively policing porn of these characters that's been popping up online.
I'm sorry, that's a good thing? I mean, whether you like porn or not, someone put a shitload of effort into it. But to be honest, I'm not surprised. Blizzard tend to be killjoys like that. What with them shutting down Nostalrius and all that.
TF2 just has more modes to pick from. That includes Team Deathmatch, Team Deathmatch, Team Deathmatch.
And of course, who could forget such classic game modes as Humans vs. Robots, Monarch of the Circular Thing, and Passing Ball Game.
In a time when gamers are more accepting than ever to play different characters, Overwatch embraces diversity. While the characters in TF2 may be from all across the world, outside of the Demo Man and maybe the Pyro, they're all white males.
Alrighty then, I think Matpat's been to one too many YouTube conventions. First off, acknowledging the things that defeat your point before you have made said point does not make your argument more valid. But let's try to apply a counter-argument here. For the male aspect, TF2 is set in 1968, and that number just screams sexism to me. In fact, that number falls smack bang in the middle of 1960s and 1980s, which was when second wave feminism was in full swing. So I imagine that a very small percentage of mercenaries, if any, were women. And if they were, I doubt that they would be hired. But that is hypothetical, since this is a fictional video game. And the white aspect. In Overwatch, there are 22 heroes, and let's see, Symmetra, Lucio, Ana, Pharah. Okay, that's it. I'm not going to include Squid Lady for Overwatch or Pyro for TF2. Percentage-wise, Overwatch is 18% coloured, and TF2 is 11. So the difference isn't that big, and both actually represent quite nicely the real-life racial diversity of England that stands at 14%. And while I'm talking about this, I notice he didn't include straight in the usual straight white male. Why? Because Overwatch hasn't actually announced any heroes as not being straight, at least as of this video being made. Probably for fear of a boom in porn they have to then censor. Yet Matpat himself made a 12.5-minute video where he explains that Pyro is gay. Spoilers! So on that funny note, TF2 actually has 100% more homosexual, quote, people than Overwatch.
But there are currently 22 characters in Overwatch, with more on the way compared to year 9.
I get a feeling that Matpat has either forgotten or intentionally left out that TF2 isn't Overwatch, and you can indeed customize weapon loadouts to change the playstyle and to add more dimensions to a class. There are 214 weapons in TF2, including some reskins. All can be used to change up the playstyle of the class using it. By using very crude maths, squaring 214 and then dividing it by 9 gets you 5,088, which is about how many combinations of weapon loadouts you can get. Again, the maths is probably wrong, and you're welcome to work it out properly and tell me in the comments section. This was just to drive home the point that in Overwatch, there are 22 heroes stuck with their weapons and playstyles, their playstyles being 2, maybe 3 at best. And TF2 has 9 classes and a metric shit-ton of playstyles, 90% of which suck. But it's fun to shake up the meta, you know?
More characters, more abilities means more opportunities to mess up the balance.
I'd actually say that TF2 with all its weapons probably has more of a chance of messing up balance than Overwatch. In fact, it's already happening with Pyro and his reserve shooter.
You say TF2 is more balanced, and yet Overwatch's smaller team size per match allows for more strategically constructed teams compared to the massive battles of TF2.
At this point, I've given up on him ever mentioning competitive or the 6v6 format.
And speaking of skill, the need to master not just one character, but multiple characters in order to be successful in this game means that it has a higher potential skill ceiling for the hardest of hardcore players.
I shit you not, I have had over 3,000 hours in TF2, and I am a bog standard player at best. TF2 is hard to learn, easy to play, and insanely difficult to master. Not just being able to play the class, but all the roles, strategies, and skills the class has to offer. So you can play stock soldier well, What about using the direct hit effectively? Or being able to rocket jump and the many different ways of doing it? Can you use a market gardener to effectively drop a medic? Can you play a role as roamer or pocket? Can you strafe, flick, track, C-tap? All these things and more make up a good soldier player. What about Pharah? Can you press mouse 1? Or maybe press shift? Or,
And let's not forget as well, Overwatch simply looks and runs better. Team Fortress is a decade old, which makes it really hard to compete.
Yes! He finally said it. Overwatch has much more attention to detail, and it runs way better than TF2. My only minor gripe is probably just the facial expressions.
Team Fortress 2, on the other hand, uses a server system on the PC. These servers are hosting specific maps and modes, or rotations of maps and modes, and players can join whichever ones that they want. That way, they can find any set of servers that they really enjoy, stick around for as long as they'd like, and move to a different server whenever they feel like doing something else.
Anyone else feel like this video was made before the Meet Your Match update? Either that or they're being like really lousy with their research, which judging by the Dove hacking helmet is probably the case.
Unlike in TF2, overhypers,
He will never know the true meaning of overhyping until he's seen the TF2 subreddit.
excuse me, Overwatchers,
Whoa, sick burn.
this game was a meme machine. Meme machine.
I'm gonna go ahead and end it off here, just so I don't end up pulling a Leafy and running the video into 20 minutes. If you got this far into the video, props to you. Also, I'm gonna work on a new outro shroud to showcase donations and fan art. Anywho, bye lads.
Thanks for watching. Get a load of its British banter. Get a load of its cracky voice. If you reach this part of the video, baby, you made a really good choice. Maybe leave a like, maybe leave a sub, maybe write a comment about how much Peter sucks. Peter Scraps, king of the banter. Turn up the volume and start to accept that you can get enough of its British sass. So watch the next video and move your ass. This is not the end of the video. Tune in next time, off you go. Hope you enjoyed it, of course you did. Have a nice day, this is it.
Diagonally.